This is Nevadacast. I am Dave Santina here in the studio at PBS Reno. And I was looking through a small local newspaper one day, not too long ago, and I read this column called Is This You? And I saw that the writer of the column lives in Eureka, and I thought, I've been to Eureka. That's not a place I would expect would produce a lot of humor columnists, so I was intrigued, and I wanted to learn more about that writer, and that writer is here with me today. It's Trina Machacek.
Ooh.
Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
Machacek. I appreciate that, and I would like to pretend like I knew that, but I stole it from your bio on Amazon. So I can't pretend, but thank you for putting that in Amazon so I could get it right.
Anytime.
So thank you for coming here. Eureka's not that close. It's almost 250 miles away from Reno, where we're recording, and you brought yourself here and brought a friend, Candy. Hi, Candy. And thank you for making that effort. That's impressive.
Oh, are you kidding? Thanks for having me. I'm really excited because I go anywhere and I talk a lot. So get ready.
That's okay. It's okay. Your column now is, you've been doing this for how many years?
Just 10 and a half years.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
I had searched back. I started looking at your columns once I realized that you were in Eureka, and I was curious, and I found columns back to 2014, but I didn't know if that was the actual beginning.
Well, I started, I think, in 2014. I did a couple in 2012, but I just sent them to people that I knew to see if they laughed, and they said, ooh, yeah. So one day I was just screwing around, and I called the editor of the Eureka Sentinel and said, so you want to try this? And he said, oh, I don't know. And I said, come on, it's $5. He said, okay. So that's what started me. And his name was Kurt Kern. He was the nicest man and the best guy to work with. And then I just started selling myself. Ooh, I shouldn't say that living in Nevada.
Hey, we're in Nevada. It's okay.
It's not like I'm
Some counties are okay with it.
Not on 4th Street, so I'm not going to go.
You're fine. So $5 was the cost or the payment for your first column.
Yep.
Not bad.
Not bad. And there's a lot of newspapers that can't afford the $5, so I give them my column for free. But a lot of them I charge $5, and I still only charge $5.
Well, that's awfully kind of you.
Yes.
You're providing content for people.
It's because I don't write for the money. Not that I'm rich. Don't get me wrong.
Understood.
I would love to be rich and famous and skinny. Well, rich at least. But I write because I love to see people laugh. I love to make people laugh. And Itty, which is this you, I-T-Y, Itty by Trina, is my column, and that's what makes people laugh.
Yeah, it's a really fun column, and your subjects are all over the place. They run the gamut. Sometimes it's deeper stuff, and sometimes it's what you found in your couch cushions.
Yes.
I mean, it could be anything. It could be anything.
Yeah, because you don't want to go in my mind. I'm telling you, it's really spooky in there. A little guy in there with a hammer and chisel and puts stuff out every week. And it's amazing. I never took a class on how to write. I just all of a sudden sat down and the words fall out of my fingertips. I never know where I'm going to start, and I never know where I'm going to end. But at 800 words, it's like poof, there's the end.
Amazing. It seems to just come naturally out of you.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Were you always a writer? Was it a natural calling for you?
I don't think so. Mostly I drank beer when I was a teenager. And I didn't start writing until I got married. And I did an article and it got picked up, and then my husband said, oh, we don't have time to write. So I put it all away for like 40 years.
40? That's a lot of built-up writing muscle tension.
There's a lot of words in there.
Oh, my goodness.
And then as my husband got sicker and sicker, I wrote to do something with me. And then when he died, I really started writing.
I see. Yeah. And you wrote a book about being a widow.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote a book called Life After a Death, and it's a funny book about being a widow. When he died, I wasn't really lost. I was actually freed because he's a wonderful man, great marriage, blah, 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 blah. But I'd found that I wanted to just be Trina. And so after he died, that's what I did. And I thought, I didn't want a book about boo-hoo this and boo-hoo that. So I wanted a book that makes me laugh. So I wrote one, and it does. It's pretty funny.
And I suspect it makes other people laugh, too.
I hope so. I keep getting letters and stuff from other people, other ladies, and they go, man, I really needed that. I really needed that.
Well, it's probably something that a lot of people would benefit from reading about because, like you said, you chose to laugh at life and to find humor in this. And so people have a hard time doing that. So you may be sort of an unintentional therapist for a lot of people.
Wouldn't that be spooky? Oh, man, Trina has a therapist. Yikers. I'm not sure that's a good thing. Oh, okay, so here's a story. Here's one of the stories in the book. So after he died, I went to Elko, and I thought, okay, I'm by myself, blah, blah, blah. I need to go into a restaurant because he was sick for a long time, and we ate a lot of meals in the front of our truck out of a little window, So I thought, I just need to go to a restaurant, I have to put on my big girl panties and go in and sit down like a real person. So I did. I picked a place that I knew in Elko, and I went in and sat down, and the guy handed me the menus, and he said, 1 or 2, and I said, oh, just 1. And so he sat me down at this huge red booth, and it's like, okay. And then the waitress comes over, and there was 2 things of silverware, and she took one away, and I went, oh, man. So I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm looking around, and she brings me this fish and chips, and I'm scarfing it down, and I look around, and everybody's so happy. Every table is full, and they got little flower things, and I thought, man, this is really kind of cool. Oh, crap. It's Valentine's Day. Oh. So anyway, I just keep going. You just keep going.
Right. Well, you show a tremendous resilience in your writing. You just find something to laugh about in just about every situation. Is that where does that come from?
I think it just comes from the need to want to be happy. So I'm a inspirational speaker, and my thing is be happy all the time. And so I try that. You cannot be happy 100% of the time, but you can sure be happy 90-80% of the time. So.
Right. And a lot of situations in life that are presented to you offer you a choice.
Yep.
How will you react to this?
Right. Like, well, I can remember when I went to the neurologist, and he said, oh, by the way, Trina, you have MS. And I went, what are we going to do with that? And I thought, well, it's just a thingy. It's just a thing. I know it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot better, but it's just a thing. If you get sucked into the muck and mire of life, then you never get out. So don't get sucked in, David.
So I will try not to. I do my best not to.
I will pull you out.
I've been in some mud doing this Wild Nevada thing.
I bet you have.
In some mud. But we've made it out so far. I have not lost even a shoe so far. I have seen other people, though, step right out of their shoes. So I've been pretty lucky. You're in newspapers. I have to say I cheated and listened to a couple of other podcasts you were on because I was doing a little research. But you are sort of coast to coast with this column, right?
I like to say I'm coast to coast because I have a guy in Boothbay Harbor, Maine, that takes my column. He hasn't put it in his paper, but he takes it every week. So I go, okay, I'm there, and then I'm in Huntington Beach, California. So I'm California to Maine. Hey, I'm coast to coast. I think I'm in I send to 20-some papers every week, and about 15 of them use it every week. So I'm happy. I'm really happy.
And there are a lot of them I noticed in the Nevada, in northern Nevada, with White Pine, Elko, Sparks Tribune, which is where I encountered it, in Fallon and Eureka County, of course. You're in Eureka, so that makes sense. So what kind of stuff do you find that you write about?
So I can sit down, the other day, I was talking to a guy who was just getting ready to plant his garden. He says, yep, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to start raising my $5,000 tomatoes. And I went, oh, you have a $5,000 tomato? I thought it was like the guy that does the 500-pound watermelon. I thought, tell me all about it. And he says, well, if you sit down and you think about the seed and the time and the water and by the time I get that little red baby, it's about $5,000. So that's what I wrote about. It was raising a garden, raising a salad. Nice.
Raising a salad. I like it. I read one that recently about something you call inside magic.
Yes,
and I thought that was a lovely notion. Can you talk about explain what that is?
I think my inside magic is writing because I have no idea where it came from. I have nothing to say how it started or when it will stop. Please, dear God, don't let it ever stop. But I think everybody has inside magic. My husband could build cars and he could weld, and he was a master machinist, and I know people that can sew like crazy. Somebody that can make a quilt out of little tiny pieces of scrap paper, and it looks like a mountain or something. That's so everybody. What's your inside magic?
It might be making TV. I don't know. I mean, it's been something I've been doing, so maybe it doesn't count. But I liked how you described it in that article. You talked about people who you watch somebody carve a duck out of a piece of wood, right?
Yeah, I said I was at a gun show. I love gun shows. Anyway, so I'm going to this gun show, and this guy's carving this duck out of this piece of wood, and he's got all of these beautiful masterpieces. And I said, so how do you do that? And he looks at me just straight faced, and he says, well, you just carve away anything that doesn't look like a duck. And I went, oh, well, duh.
Sure,
why not?
I don't know if I tried that, if it would look the same.
I don't think my duck would look anything like his duck.
No, I think probably not. But that's his inside magic.
That's right.
I like that a lot. So yeah, well, maybe I need to find mine. I'll keep looking, but I'm gonna, for the moment. Maybe it's making podcasts. Who knows? This is just getting started. We'll see. We shall see. You also did another book called "They Call Me Weener."
Yeah, that's
55 short giggle-producing
chinwags. You should have seen your face when you just said that. It's like Weener.
It's well, it doesn't on the surface seem like a loving nickname, but perhaps it is.
There were some stores that wouldn't carry it. I went to I went to a fair in Utah, and I had my book out front that said "They Call Me Weener," and people would go by and look at it because there was a lot of Mormons there.
Sure.
Looked at it like and they wouldn't even come over like I was the devil woman or something. So Weener is my nickname. So when I was in school, I ran for an office, and my sister, who was older, said, "Well, your slogan should be, don't be a wiener, vote for Trina."
Oh.
So, and she used to call me Prina Dog Chow too. So anyway,
fair.
Weener's my name, and that. So when I wrote the book, what it is a bunch of columns put together and some new stuff, and there's like 50. I call it's 55 chinwags, and there's 55 1- and 2-page stories. It's the best bathroom reader you'll ever have. It's like
nice.
It's like one story is good for one visit to the throne.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you think.
If you need 2 stories, call a doctor.
Yeah, you need some Dukalact.
Well, I'm going to have a hard time calling you Weener, so I'm going to stick with Trina. But I do relate. When my niece was born, my sister, who was a few years older than me, wanted her daughter to call me by a name she used to call me when I was a baby. She wanted her daughter to call me Davy. Her daughter couldn't say Davy, but she could say Weewee. Oh. So for a full year before she learned how to talk better, I was Weewee. And I loved it.
You know that you're never going to live that down.
No, I thought it was great. I was Weewee.
Weewee and Weener.
Little baby.
We should go on the road.
Yes, that's right. The Weewee and Weener show.
Weewee and Weener show.
We'll fight over who gets first billing.
Please take the top. Oh my stars!
I don't know that there's much of a difference, but we'll go with it. So people can get those. Those are available on Amazon, I think, right?
Yeah,
you can get those books
they're
anywhere.
Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Walmart, whatever.
And you're talking about life. And you're living in Eureka. You're living in Diamond Valley, right?
I live in Diamond Valley.
We're relative to town. Where is that?
It's north of town. There's a huge farming community that was started in the 50s with people coming in, and the land opened up, and it was the land, like a land grab act. They could come in and everybody over 18 could claim 320 acres, but you had to prove it up over a 5-year period. I think you had to drill a well and plant a crop and harvest a crop, and then the land was yours. But getting to that point, you had to borrow a lot of money to get everything going.
Okay.
So, and there's I want to say there's 55,000 acres under alfalfa and Timothy hay and grass hay out there now.
Okay. And are you doing any farming out there?
So when I got married, I married a farmer, and he and his family had 600 acres, and we had 300. And then by the time it was all over, blah, 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 we ended up with 923 acres. But then we had to sell it off. His dad got sick, his mom got sick, and they needed money. And so I'm telling you right now, I'm not rich because all the money from the farm went to my mother-in-law. So now I sit on 5 acres, and it's all mine, and I love it. It's a beautiful place, and I sit at the base of Diamond Mountain, which is 11,800 feet, and it's just a gorgeous view. Nice.
I remember that valley a little bit because it's been many years, but one of the person who took us on more wild Nevada trips than anybody, Alvin McLean, took us out to what he called Emerald Lake Cave, and we went down. We rappelled, and the bat guano infested air attacked our lungs, but we made it to this this underground lake. It was fascinating and terrifying at the same time. But I always remember that. But that's my memory of that valley.
Wow.
I didn't think of it as somebody's home. So it's I look at, for example, your book cover for A Life After a Death. It looks to me like a selfie of your legs in a hammock on your property. Is that what I'm looking at?
That's me. Yeah. Yep. I was out swinging in the hammock, watching the world go by one summer, and I just flipped it up and took a picture, and that was me.
Nice. Well, it's a great book cover. Thanks. Because it absolutely.
And I got to tell you, I got nice legs. I got them from my mother. I also got her second chin. So
you get everything.
That's right.
You don't get to pick and choose.
That's right. And I'll take it all. They
don't give you a menu when you're born. Unfortunately, I would have picked a few things.
Yeah,
that's okay.
I don't want to choose. Just surprise me.
So life in Eureka and out on your 5 acres it seems like it would be pretty calm, pretty easygoing, but it's fodder for your column. You find subject matter everywhere.
Yeah, well, that and the fact that I'm older than dirt, and I've been everywhere and done everything, and I've had a lot of experiences. You just pull from your past. I'm sure that everybody, I don't really usually generalize, but I'm sure that everybody has got something in their past that when they think about it, they kind of giggle to themselves, and that's where my stories come from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I have a lot of people that are kind of mentioned, but quietly mentioned.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're being discreet.
Yes.
Well, that's very kind of you.
Somebody said you should write a book about the beginning of Diamond Valley, how it started in a farm and all the people and stuff. And I said, I just can't because not everybody's dead yet. There's a nice group of people out in Diamond Valley, but there's a lot of cool stories out there too.
So you've been out there for a while.
Yeah, I've been out there almost 50 years. Yeah, I was born and raised in Reno. Then we moved to Ely where I went to high school, and then I got married and moved to Diamond Valley.
Okay. So you've lived. I mean, at the time, Reno wasn't a big city, but it was certainly compared to Ely, it was probably a metropolis.
Yes, it was. I lived here when you could actually see that there was 3 miles between Reno and Sparks. and I was born in Washoe Medical Center, which is now Renown.
Renown, right?
Yeah.
Right.
In the little red, when you go on the corner and you see the little red Washoe Medical Hospital, that's where I was born. It's a tiny building.
Wow. Yeah.
When I was little, it was bigger.
Right. Funny how that works.
Yes, I don't know how that works.
So how was it adjusting to life in the rural community?
Oh my gosh, we went from a 5-bedroom house in Reno, and my folks loved to go downtown, and we loved to go downtown because it was Nevada.
Sure.
And then we moved to Ely, and girls were wearing dresses below their knees, and the cars were old, and it's like, oh my stars, it's like walking back into the Twilight Zone. So, but then when you get part of it, it's the best feeling is living in rural Nevada. It's like nothing else, but it does take a specific woman and man. Like the men will come to Eureka and start working at the mines or start working at the county and bring the little woman and say, oh, honey, I got this wonderful place for us to live. And they come out and Walmart's 120 miles away and there's one bar and one restaurant, and she goes, oh, hell no. And so, but the ones that stay really want to be there, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It really is.
What is it about that environment that appeals to the people who want to stay?
So I think mostly it's I can go outside when I'm writing and I just get so frustrated or I get a oogie phone call or something. I can go outside and I can stand in the middle of my yard and I can do a 360-degree turn and look and not see anybody for miles. Like my nearest neighbor, I think it's about 2 miles away, and that sometimes is too close. But and then if you want to do something, you get on a 4-wheeler and you're in the mountains in like 3 minutes. Or you can go. I was going to say arrowhead hunting, but I don't think you're supposed to do that.
Probably
anymore.
not anymore.
Don't do that anymore, Trina.
You can look.
Yeah, look, but don't touch.
Yeah, I mean, you can hunt and take a picture, and then leave only footprints. Right, the classic.
Yep.
Yeah. So obviously you enjoy getting out and exploring, which is while Nevada has made has existed because of that, really, because of the idea of exploring. So what do you like to do in your free time? I mean, you have a lot of free time, I guess, when you're not writing, but
I do. You would be surprised at my free time. Other than taking a nap, no, I wish, because now I've started a newspaper in Eureka. It's called the Eureka County Star, and it's a one-woman show, and I put it in 1,200 boxes in Eureka County.
Wow.
So, but when I don't have anything to do, mostly I like to work in my yard. In my yard, it's green and it's pretty and it's or just go for a walk. You don't know what it's like to get out and go for a walk. I can walk a half mile, and actually the University of Nevada's they bought the place that my husband and I built some corrals at, and they have their merino sheep there. And so I think you can buy stuff that is made from merino wool at the UNR campus store.
Okay.
So anyway, but I love to go out and walk and just see stuff. I like to go archy junking, which I'm sure you're not supposed to do that either, but I do. So because there's still places that you can go and find a pile of junk and go through it and find things that you just leave there, right?
Sure, yeah. You just for your personal entertainment. You're just looking.
It's just like when we were digging outhouses. Oh, have you ever dug an outhouse? It is so much fun.
I'm gonna have to listen to more evidence before I weigh in on whether I agree with that or not.
And digging an outhouse is an experience that you would This sounds funny, but once it's in your blood, you want to do another one and another one and another one.
Really?
Really.
Okay, can you articulate how digging an outhouse is so much fun?
So the last one we dug, my husband and I bought a piece of ground on Main Street because we really needed a hardware store in town. So we bought this piece of ground and started. And the first thing you do is find out where the outhouses were, and you use this stick that you push down in the ground, and you not a stick but a tube, and you pull it back up. And if you find like ashes and stuff in that tube, then you know that there's an outhouse there. So we started digging it, and it was a 3-holer. We got down 15 feet. We found like a solid silver pocket watch. We found a $50 gold piece and a lot of bottles and a lot of oyster shells and a lot of Worcestershire bottles.
Okay. I'm beginning to understand. This is
archaeology.
No poop. This is archaeology. You're finding existing and filled over old
from the
outhouses. I thought you were digging a new outhouse hole, and I didn't know why you would find that fun. But if you're finding old ones and discovering, historical items, that actually has some appeal. I take back my initial hesitation.
Well, and I should have been a little more clear.
That's okay. No problem. All right. So for people who travel, like, this show, Wild Nevada, has always been about encouraging people to get out on the road and explore. And we've been through Eureka a couple of times, but it's been a long time since we actually came through and did a show. So for the visitor, for someone who's going to be coming through 50 or coming down from Battle Mountain, right? That's
from Carlin.
From Carlin, yes, thank you. From Carlin, where my dad's side of the family used to live.
Oh, nice.
So if you're coming one of those directions, what do you recommend people do, or what is it that they should do to enjoy themselves? So if they just have an afternoon, then just stop in town and pick up a visitor's guide, because inside the guide there's a map, a walking tour map of town, and it'll tell you what all the buildings are. There's these big signs on the buildings with numbers on them, and you can see what the buildings were and what they are now. And so there's a lot of history. There's the Eureka Opera House, which is open, I think, during the week, and you can go in and actually look at it and go backstage and see where people have signed the walls and stuff like that. Then across the street, there's the courthouse that was built in the 1860s, and you go upstairs and see the old courtroom. It's really pretty, but just and then just meet the people. There's a little antique store, there's a little craft store, there's a little gallery that's got everything that's made in Nevada. She brings a lot of people from all over the state, and so
But if you have more time than that, then just if you have a bike, we have bike trails. If you have a four-wheeler, we have four-wheeler trails. And mostly you just go anywhere. It's not like there's not a lot of rules, which I love.
Right.
But there's a lot of respect for the land too. It's not like you go out and dump your garbage. You just enjoy the area. It's not like we have a Lake Tahoe. We don't have a Lake Tahoe.
Right.
Well, we have a couple places that you can go fishing, but they're far away, and we call them Nevada lakes, which are just reservoirs that farmers and ranchers have dug, and so it's just like a puddle, but there are fish in it. So
it counts. I think it counts.
I think so. And hunting. I don't hunt. So I've never shot anything that bleeds. I do a lot of plinking. My husband liked guns, and we had a lot of guns. And when we first got married, we were sitting at this table, and he's got all these guns laid, these handguns out. And he says, "Well, let me show you how to shoot." And I knew how to shoot, but not. I thought, "Oh, let him show me how to shoot."
Right.
So he picks up this little .22 pistol and he goes, "Ping, ping, pew, pew, pew." And I go, "Oh, that's fun." And I reach over here, and there's a big .44, and I said, "I'm gonna shoot this." Oh, my stars. It's like, pew, 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 and paboom. So that's me. I'm the paboom.
You prefer the paboom.
I do, to the pew, pew.
To the pew, pew.
Yes, Weewee, I
That's
do.
good to know. So thank you for the description for the short-term visitor. Now, if someone's going to stick around for more than a quick drive-through, do you have other recommendations for activities or for places to go?
At the Opera House, every so often we have like this. I think tonight Doug Figgs is doing a show in the Opera House, and he's a country western singer, songwriter, and somewhat comedian. But every so often the county will bring in something to have at the Opera House. So that if you look in the visitor's guide, which I tell people to go through a lot, no matter where you go, there's a visitor's guide in any little town that you have, and always look for it, because that's where you're going to learn the businesses and what's available and what's there. So if you want to see something, or we have a car show once a year. We have a wine walk once a year, which is, you were talking about pecans earlier. And so there's a guy that comes and makes pecans, and his name is Jim Ithiraldi, and he is like the oldest Basque in Nevada.
Okay.
He's the King Basque, and he makes these pecans during this wine walk. Will knock your butt off. So anyway, that's a fun thing.
That sounds like a draw.
Yeah, so there's always something, and they're just starting to work on a lot of bike trails and four-wheeler trails, and just go exploring.
So there's more and more to come, it sounds like.
And
for those listening, I mentioned pecans before we started recording because I had done a show with Mark Maynard, who did a pecan documentary, and I couldn't help but talk about it because it was fun making them and having a drink here during the middle of the day.
Yeah, and what did I get? I got water.
You got water.
Thanks,
I know.
Tim.
Sorry.
Thanks,
well, you didn't
Tim.
bring the fixins. If you brought it in, I'm all in.
That's Long Island iced
Ready
tea
to
for
go.
me.
Ready to go. All right. So people who want to get a hold of your books, read your materials, just want to be in touch with you, how do people find you?
Okay, so I love to hear from readers, and I love to talk and chitty chat, and I love to email back and forth, and I love to get letters. So you can send me an email to Itty, ITYBYTRINA. So it's Itty by Trina at yahoo.com. That's my email. Or you can send me a note in the mail. I'm Post Office Box 239 in Eureka, Nevada, 89316. Or call me if you can find my number.
Oh, a challenge has been issued to the listeners. Nice.
And really, if you want to know a lot about Eureka, then you really should. Now this is probably not really good manners, but I will do it anyway. Subscribe to the newspaper in Eureka, because we talk about everything that goes on in Eureka and what happens. And we have a couple of columns about the cooks in Eureka send in recipes. So we have a recipe column, and we have a back page of the newspaper that's a month-long calendar. Tells you what's
Nice.
going on.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I sometimes just go off.
You get to promote your own newspaper if you wish.
Yeah, so it's www.theurecacountysentinel.com.
Eureka County Sentinel. Beautiful.
No, my stars. That's the old.
Oh, did the name change?
Yes. It's the Eureka County Star.
Oh, right. You just mentioned that earlier.
I am so fired.
From your own newspaper?
I know. I should fire myself. That's okay. I don't make any money anyway.
I look forward to your column about sitting yourself down and having to explain to yourself why you're being let go.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if I could get unemployment. Nah. There's always an angle. Always an angle.
All right, we're running out of time. Trina, thank you for the time and for coming out here.
Thanks, David,
for driving for hours just to sit and talk to me for a half an hour.
No, it was well worth it. You and Krispy Kreme.
Usually people say me and Chris Orr, and they're saying me and Krispy Kreme. Yes, Krispy Kreme is a destination.
Yes,
maybe the reason you're here, but maybe the second.
And I have a coupon.
We won't know which is which. I won't push for that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I loved it. So that's true. Trina Machacek. Don't try to write it like you spell it or like you say it because you'll get it wrong. It's Machacek, but it's pronounced Machacek.
Right.
And Is This You is the column. So check it out. It's coast to coast.
It is coast to coast.
Technically speaking.
Woo.
All right. Watch Wild Nevada on PBS Reno via broadcast or live stream on pbsreno.org or on our YouTube channel. So you can share your best Wild Nevada road trip story with me or recommendations for Nevada travelers at podcasts@pbsreno.org. So please, any suggestions, ideas, stories, questions, we'll take them all. I want to say thank you again, Trina Machacek. And thank you guys for listening to Wild Nevadacast.